Alright, hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. We're on board the Venture. I'm having weird stuttering. I don't know what's causing that. It only started when I started recording, so it must be like a shadow play related thing. Hopefully it will go away when we take off with the ship. I got the Venture loaded up with some parts. We're going to build the small ship when we're in orbit. I need to get into our GPS, and let's just turn off that one and get our asteroid up again. The ship's been refitted on the inside, but since I'm having performance issues down here, I think I'll probably show that off in space. So without further ado, I'm going to head up to the bridge and just see if we can get up into orbit here. I have about 1,000,000 units of ice on board, so we should have more than enough fuel, and the ship will just be getting lighter as we go up, so we'll see how that goes. First things first, let's go ahead and set a... Do I not have landing gear as a group? I do not seem to. Well, that's moderately annoying. Well, first things first, let's just take a look here. I don't think there's anything docked to this ship right now, so that won't be a problem. I'll fix that when we get up into orbit. Turrets off, thrusters, hangar doors closed. I don't have groups for all of this stuff set up yet. Gyroscopes on, airlock doors closed. Let's just cycle that to make sure everything's closed. Did I set up a group for flight mode? Yeah. Alright, so let's fire up the old thrusters here. Disconnect. And just get some distance here and see if the performance improves at all. Space Engineers is a fickle beast. Yeah, it seems like it's a lot better already. Why is that sound block set to show... I'm not going to fix it now because this is going to waste fuel while we're ascending here, but I need to fix that. That's silly. Alright, so let's just start aiming upwards. Alright, we are decelerating way too much. Let's give it the old upward thrusters. Still decelerating. Well, we might just have to use these thrusters for a little bit. I removed all of the ion thrusters from this ship, so she runs purely on hydrogen now, which is probably good and bad. I'm assuming that one at 52 kilometers is my GPS location, just because that makes sense. Well, it seems like this it's going pretty well. Now, when we get up here, I'm going to do some mining, get more uranium, because uranium is really the only thing I'm short on. I have parts for everything, except for... I don't have any superconductor parts, and I am going to want to build a jump drive for a different ship in a while, but I suppose that can wait. Now, let's turn off the dampers and just accelerate. Well, that's going to make us drop, isn't it? I'm trying to not waste so much fuel here, but we're just dropping like a stone if I try to use just the main thruster, so I guess we're using them all. Now, some of that might be because of the way that I have been accelerating here. Let's see what happens if I just go forward here. If we stop losing speed, yeah, we're picking up speed again, so we're good. Awesome, and I'm going to set course for that asteroid. So that was not a very efficient takeoff there. I'll have to keep practicing that. I really mean to get some stuff set up here so I can do some thrust, what do they call it? Override? So that it doesn't quite have to be at full thrust, because it's not always necessary. In fact, we can probably cut out... I have it set up to cut most of those thrusters there like that. And I can't tell if we're falling back to the planet or not. I feel like we are, so I'm going to turn those back on until we get out to like maybe 0.10 gravity like I did with the ion thrusters on the other ship. Because basically that's partially to save fuel, but it's also because it's ridiculous how much upwards thrust I have when I'm in space with this thing. It's just extremely unpleasant. Much more than is necessary. Oh, we still have 0.4 gravity. Gravity just goes on and on and on. And like I said, we're just kind of wasting fuel here. I really should have a group set up to do thrust override, but I don't. Hopefully we'll have enough to land. If not, I'll stop and get ice and make sure we're at 100% with a little bit extra to top her off. Where's the base down there? I don't even see it. The antenna's off on the ship. I think it's under all those clouds down there. But I do not know. We're at 0.29. Let's cut those thrusters again and see. Yeah, they're not firing at full, the downward one, so I assume we're in slightly better shape with that now. So just those forward ones are going to stay on when we're in space so that the maneuvering is a little bit more under control. 0.25 gravity. I didn't turn on the artificial gravity. I thought I made that part of the flight control stuff, but probably not because it's not always needed. Now I don't know how much these thrusters use idling. I think they use a very tiny amount when they're idling. So it might make sense to put like 2 thrusters, ion thrusters in each direction as station keeping, but I wanted to remove most of the ion thrusters because they are just kind of dead weight on this ship since it's going to spend a lot of its time going back and forth, and it just kind of makes more sense not to have them. I should really strip off the atmospherics in the front and replace those too with hydrogen because they're dead weight right now and they're fairly heavy. But holy crap, the gravity is taking forever to go down the rest of the way. And I really need to mess with the thrust override because we've used almost half of our fuel on this trip already. Well, when we get out of gravity, I'm just going to check and see some stuff. I have a lot of grouping stuff that needs to be done with this ship. It's part of the reason I wanted to get away from the base and just kind of hang out in space for a while, deal with some grouping stuff, all that sort of thing. It takes a long time for that planet to fade away, and I have to sneeze. Excuse me. It's one of those false sneezes. The worst kind of sneeze. So, as I was saying when we were coming up here, I want to build a little scout ship that is going to be purely a spaceborne ship that's going to live on here. And the purpose of that is going to be, when we're up here, this thing uses a lot of fuel maneuvering. It's kind of big and bulky, especially when it gets loaded down with cargo to be maneuvering around. So it just makes more sense to me to have a tiny little shuttle that can go around and scout some of these asteroids and find the valuable resources we want, mark them, and then we'll take the actual venture out and, you know, deal with those. So that is my thinking on that. I have not been to space since I put the new skybox on, and I gotta say it is a billion times better than the other one. The other one was a little cartoonish. This one is just neat. 0.10 gravity. Things start fading away relatively quickly, although I remember that asteroid was barely outside of the gravitational field, which is slightly ridiculous that these asteroids can be inside of it. I mean, they're voxels, so voxels in this game are not affected by the by gravity, but it just seems weird they'd spawn in out here. And I definitely need to remember to fix that sound block. That's bugging me. 0.8. I just want to get cruising here, man. How quick do we slow down if I turn off the inertial dampeners? Just gonna let it cruise for a minute here. So how much ice do we still have? Nearly a full amount, so it'll get us more than up to full on the tanks, and I'm just gonna keep hitting the gas every once in a while to keep us up near 100. Yeah, that skybox is impressive, man. Here's our little home. Been down there for a long time. It's kind of funny, now that I've flown around, I can see all the way to where I'm flying. There's that ice lake over there, and on the other side of that mountain is where the wrecked ship is that I've been dealing with, and that other pirate base that I tore down. Kind of getting to know that planet. Should go check out that ice field, that ice lake in the... I'm calling it that. Well, every direction is kind of the south from where we are. But that... Alright, so I'm just going to cruise my way on over here and get the mining operation started. And once that has begun, we'll probably start figuring out what we're going to do with... let's make sure we're actually on course here still, because the planet is going to start pulling us down. What we're going to start doing with that little scout ship. Alright, actually I realized before we get set up for our mining operations here, we might as well do the tour of the ship while we're out here. And I don't really want to fully stop. Let's keep her moving at like 25 or so. 20 will do. That business shipment is awfully close, and I neglected to actually arm any of these turrets on board, so we're kind of defenseless still. So actually we may as well just park this thing on the uranium deposit. Don't know, I don't think the ore detector is actually on, but I believe I'll sort of remember where I was before. I'll just full stop it here. And ore detector, where are you, my friend? Still need to rename a bunch of parts on here. I have a system that I'm using now, but it's not fully implemented. Get our lights on. The sun is certainly not making that particularly easy. So it looks like there's uranium all over the place still. The question is just how we want to attach to actually gather any of it. And I'm thinking what I want to do is just kind of come alongside this way, maybe. Should really get a small mining ship that could come out here with this thing and clean up a little bit around here too, because there's a bit of a mess. Some jaggies left and stuff that I don't really like. But I think what I want to do is maneuver around here. I'm pretty sure I used this little outcropping before to park on. So we'll like park with the front landing gear up there. And hopefully the whole ship will kind of rotate around when I descend here. We're clipping into the asteroid slightly, which is always a little bit concerning. What I'm trying to do is maneuver so we're somewhat even, but the asteroid's kind of an odd shape, which I guess asteroids would be. I just want to make sure that we don't accidentally clip so much that we break the drills, which we're very close to doing. Alright, that's probably not going to be like the most effective place to park it, but it's good enough for government work. So thrusters are all off. Since we're locked off here, shouldn't be a problem. I always get nervous for the first minute that I'm in space here, but here we go. For some reason I feel like everything's going to explode on me when I touch anything. Gravity on. I said gravity on. Cool beans. Alright, so as I said, I did some redesigning. I have some scripts running that have been running on the base. Right now I just have the time and our oxygen and fuel status. There's a nice little airlock. These are part of the corridor pack that we have. They take up less room. I use them in certain places, but I still use the other ones. Get a nice view out of these windows here. And it's pretty much the same deal on that side. It just goes around. I like to have these wraparound views and stuff like that, so it just kind of makes it a little more pleasant in my opinion. So I have not adjusted the gravity fields. Hopefully there's gravity everywhere on this ship. And I know there's air pretty much everywhere. So, what is going on there? Weird spot. And there should be air in here. So, this is the medical room. I have some more work to actually accomplish in here. Why am I not getting hydrogen? There we go. I like these portholes a lot. They're pretty cool. Nice view out the side there. And I like to put air vents in pretty much every room. Have a nice little observation area here. We have some relatively pointless crew quarters, but I just kind of like having those sort of things. It just seems right to me. And then this is the captain's quarters, which I got these really nice Star Trek inspired kind of Enterprise D windows going on here, which I approve of. And these are the backside of the bunk. They kind of look like lockers, but captain's quarters got a lot of windows going for it, so that's pretty fun. Go ahead and close that bad boy. I'm not going to run because I feel like that's just going to lead to bad things. So we've already been up to the bridge. That's what those stairs there go to. This is an area where we got our gyroscopes chilling. And then on this deck, oh yeah, that sound block I should fix. Just grab a control panel. These are all of our programmable blocks, that sort of stuff. Is it hidden? Which one was it? Show on HUD. That one. These are all programmable blocks. There's a couple extra ones that are turned off right now because those are going to be handling drilling stuff and all that. If we need more, I can add a couple more in another area. But that is for our server machinery. This part of the ship is more or less the same. That goes back to the what's it called? The I'm gonna put on my helmet just before we go out here, just to make sure that there's actually air out here. But yeah, good. The hangar actually does hold pressure. This goes back to the cargo area, and these airlocks on each side here give me access outside. So we have our cargo. Got a couple more oxygen generators. There's actually some under the flight deck back there. That's where we keep our oxygen. And then, of course, this is just the head. I don't think much has changed back here. The mess hall, galley area. I said close. And then our drill deck here where we can control the drills from. I have space here. There actually were some timer blocks here, but I moved those into the other room. If we need more timer blocks, I'll throw them in here because I'm going to be figuring that out. Those lights are incredibly blinding in here. So, yeah, that pretty much takes care of the ship tour. Now, as far as what we're going to be doing here, I brought a bunch of components. I want to whip up a little scout ship that can handle, well, scouting. For resources, and we do need to find a space station site as well, so I suppose it's probably not a bad idea to have that, let's leave this door open since everything's working right in here, but I'm going to make some adjustments to gravity, name a few more things, and we'll build a ship in this hangar, I think. So I'm going to do those modifications I was talking about, and when we come back, we'll see what progress we've made on the ship. Oh yeah, this is the engine room. Nothing has changed in here at all. It's all identical. Alright, so I will be back with a little bit of progress on a small ship. You know, I was thinking, before we go deal with building the ship, let's do a little spacewalk here. and actually figure out. I think we're over iron. I was looking at the outside. When I was looking at the outside of the ship, it looked like we're in the wrong place. So let's throw on our helmet here, use our cool airlock, and let's go have a look down here. I want to hit my light. So we may have taken out most of the uranium, it looks like, from this. It looks like there might be a decent amount still in this part, and way down here where we can't get to it right now. I don't really want all this iron. Problematic. It looks like where we're going to be drilling comes down into that. We might want to move forward a little bit here. Not sure. Yeah, that'll get into it a little bit, and then we can move forward. Probably try to take out some of these chunks here too. A lot of complicated work needs to be done there. I was glad I got the name plate on here. Alright, well that explains that. Let's get back inside here. Well, that's a bad place to try to get in. Second one. Takes a little bit of finessing there. And yeah, I think that's how I want the door left. Alright. Well, I got the forward ejector set up there dealing with that stone for now. I'm going to have to rethink that, because if we're mining on a planet, we're just going to end up with a giant pile of stone right in front of us. It's going to blow out the deck as well. So it's kind of a no-win scenario. What I'll probably end up doing to fix this hull breach is I'm going to tear down some of that heavy steel plating back there. We'll replace it when we get back down to the surface, and I'll just put on some light armor. But yeah, again, that's just an odd issue that I was not anticipating. Odd issue indeed. Alright, while we're mining through that layer there, I'm also ejecting the iron ore because I do not want it. I only am interested in uranium and a couple of other things while we're out here. The ice has been used up. We're only at 79% fuel, so clearly it's going to be a good idea to probably head out and locate a source of ice while we're out here. But in space, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm going to go up to the med bay and heal myself up before I go on this spacewalk. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. I don't even know what that just was that seemed to fall in there. It looked like non-textured bits of, what am I trying to say? Non-textured bits, like the particle effects for the welder. It looked like that, but with no light on it or anything. It's kind of odd. Should probably go up to the bridge and check how much air we have after all the hull breaches and stuff that happened. Hopefully it didn't waste a bunch of ice on making oxygen. Yeah, we got plenty. So, where do I want to do this walk from? Let's go up to the one up here. The airlock up here. We haven't used this one yet. Helmet on. Now, I didn't bring any steel with me because I think what we're going to do is steal some of the steel. Steal some of the steel. That's a funny thing to say. I don't know what's going on with that sound. We're going to hijack some parts from back here. So how bad was the damage? Pretty freaking bad. Huh. It's weird that it did all this damage up here too and exploded the actual connectors. Don't really know what to make of that. It's a new problem that did not happen before, so it's always something, isn't it? And like I said, I think I'm just going to tear out some of this heavy armor and throw in some light armor to replace it. Well, that means I'm going to end up with a ludicrous number of grids in my inventory while I'm trying to manage all this stuff. And I'd rather not depressurize the whole ship to do this. So how are we going to do this? Well, we can grind this bad boy down. And I don't really care what happens to the grids as long as they don't destroy the ship. So if they want to just hang out there, that's fine with me. I'll throw some light armor blocks on here. What did I picked up? Mostly grids, didn't I? Damn grids. Alright, so now it's just a bunch of these slopes. And we should be back in business here. And is it repressurizing? Yep. Alright, so I guess I'll go put this stuff away. That was random. Alright, so I'm retracting the drills. We're going to move forward a little bit here and try to get the last bit of uranium out of this asteroid. And then I think we're, before we even build the scout ship, going to have to move on to another asteroid and look for some ice and hopefully a little more uranium. This rock is pretty well depleted at this point. And I did kind of make the executive decision while I was up here that I think it's going to be easier to adjust the timer blocks down on the surface, so I'm not sure I'm going to do that right now. I don't know, maybe. Since I don't think I brought enough stuff to build all the control panels I need to without giving up on building my small ship, so we have limited resources. I should have thought of building those control panels before we left, but I didn't. I should really put in like a bulkhead here to stop the whole deck from depressurizing when we're in flight too. And let's just be safe here and not do that. Close those bad boys. Head on up to the bridge and reposition things here. Alright, undock. Give it a little gentle nudge away here. And I think what I want to do to get to that part is kind of swing the ship around this way. Angle the nose up so we clear the rock. And I'm just going to try to lock one of these rear landing gear on back here. Higher because the collision mesh is weird sometimes. Get as much of those drills out over that rock as possible here. Alrighty. And I think we need to gently. Is that going to take out the whole thing? It looks like it pretty much will. If we can get a lock here. We got one. Alright, thrusters off. I need to fix those groupings because I have to press it twice. And let's deal with this.